keep you very long today. Essentially, today, Discovery Day, is to give you guys some information about what we do here, why we do it, how long we've been around, et cetera, et cetera. So unfortunately, Beyonce, I gotta pause you. Now move on to the next song. Just pause. I'll come back. It's all right. So as I said before, my name is Andre. It's good to see all of you. Why is everybody together is a question that we get on occasion. We do hire based on need, expanding and contracting when necessary. So instead of having our hiring managers going over the same information, one after another, they'd probably get a little bit upset with me. So we'll cover everything here. If you have any questions, obviously you can present those at any time. It's going to be a pretty casual conversation. I'm going to be going through a slideshow. So any questions, shoot a hand up, and I'll call on you. If you're able to whistle, you can do that as well. That's fine. So what we do here is our company motto states, help people meet their immediate employment needs and their future career goals. And that seems pretty simple. We try to refine the manner in which we do that, because you can say immediate employment needs is essentially people contact us, whether it be through our website or calling directly in to speak with the career counselor or job specialist. They want to find a job, right? They're searching, and we're kind of all maybe in the same boat. I've recently been looking for a job, and that's something that's important, to have somebody there that can help you with that process. The way we do that, obviously, is cutting edge technology. We have a 30-plus member tech team, IT team. They deal with issues that may arise because of the technology, developing new technology, all the websites that we have. Gigas will speak about in just a little bit. They created all the interface on that, as well as a couple of other ones that I'll show you today also. So immediate employment needs, job preferences and needs. Identifying current qualifications. When you're speaking with somebody on the phone, our CEO likes to say we give people ice cream and not broccoli. Give them what they want, not necessarily what they need. So if somebody says, I'd like to be the CEO of a company, no matter what their qualifications are, we're going to present them with those jobs. And it's kind of a mutual conversation as to getting to the point of, reality is not the right word, but you understand what I'm saying, what they're eligible for, what's available to them. Then we do match them with available jobs. The job of the day is a tool that we utilize via their email, sending them one job each day. And can anybody guess why just one job as opposed to, say, 50, if we have them? The idea behind it, go ahead, I'm sorry?
So you want to overload them.
Exactly. There's a lot of other sites that aren't directly in contact with individuals like we are. That's what separates us, is our communication. So they may be overloaded already. There may be a level of frustration because of the amount that they're overloaded. So by sending them one job a day that we have qualified through communicating with them, this is the job that matches what you were looking for, what you have to offer, and what's available. It seems like the best way to do it, and we found that it sort of eases the process, and that's what we're trying to do. It's already difficult enough, right? So let's see if we can't make it a little bit easier, at least that much easier. Future career goals, it's a similar process. Someone might call up and they want more of a job than what they're maybe available for right now. So what's the way to get there? Typically it's education, but education spans from, say, something like a trade school all the way up to a brick and mortar education and everywhere in between. So we have 4,000 colleges, universities, and trade schools that we partner with for things like that all over the country, along with over 21,000 employer partners that deal on that side of the process as well. A little bit of our timeline. 2005, we started out of a Boca Raton apartment with a $1,600 investment with an idea. Let's put this on create a website and see what happens. It was very quickly realized we needed to grow. So we started with Phil. Phil was our first employee, and he's now kind of a subcontractor with us, but we like to make the joke that everybody needs a Phil, because he's just a nice guy. He got everything rolling for us, and we still appreciate it. Now in 2005, April, we ended up with our first qualified lead to University of Phoenix. Essentially, someone had an interest in getting information about possibly going back to school in the near future, or at least relative near future, and we were able to see revenue from University of Phoenix based on that interest. And we'll get into more of that as well. That grew pretty quickly, and you can see the first revenue check was $143,000. Now we took a 10% cut on that, as any reasonable human being would, to receive it early. We said, yeah, you have an X number amount of money coming to us. How about we'll take 10% less and get it here by Thursday as opposed to next week? We'll see what happens. And sure enough, everything worked out for that. We ended up having to grow more. McLean, Virginia. We started with our corporate headquarters there. Is anyone from up north? Whereabouts?
New York.
New York. Whereabouts?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. What exit?
I know something from 20-something Union County.
Okay, I was 82A. So the Garden State Park.
I even driving back there.
Right on. Okay, and you said?
New Jersey as well.
All right. So the thing in common with the north is what? Somebody said cold right off the bat. It's freezing cold. That was quickly realized. Shortly thereafter, you can see there's only about a month or so span in between when we opened the corporate headquarters to when we decided to move to Orlando. I'll say beautiful Orlando, Florida, because the weather, everything is great down here. You can actually be outside for more than 3 weeks a year. Does that sound accurate? Moving forward in 2006, continuing to expand, we moved into the Veranda Park location, which is actually just down the street, so we haven't strayed too far away from there. One of the themes that you'll see throughout this presentation is that there came a time, sort of segmented out, that we were hiring someone to do a job for us, and we realized that we could do it for ourselves based on our size, based on what we had, based on the individuals that we had on staff. They were able to do it, so why not just bring it in-house? The first example is the lobby, the Barney's Coffee. So we were buying coffee that whole time, and we realized we could just make coffee. It's very simple, I know, but it's a very small stepping stone to, if you can do it in-house, just take care of it in-house, and nobody gets hurt. So going into 2006, Kelly Romero came on. She grew with the company very quickly, and she's now the COO, Chief Operating Officer and President. She was nominated for Central Florida C-Level Officers Award in 2012. You can see there, she did get second. So that's great, but we still give her a hard time about it that she didn't get first. We're a very competitive group. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can see all the pictures on the wall, so most of them have to do with sporting events and things like that. That's how competitive we like to be here. So we can only give her a hard time about it, those because she's been nominated again for it this year. So she's got the upper end. Now, in 2006, something very simple came up, is that we were looking for an administrative assistant. And the way that search was going back then is you would look through an entire resume, you'd move on to the next one, you'd trash that one, you move on to the next one, you decide you'd have to go through the process like that. We were contacted by an individual in India who had a couple of family members, some friends, wanted to start a business, kind of an outsourcing company, doing that for us, searching through, and as well as other companies. So we helped that person grow in, and then eventually his outsourcing company became a viable, full-term outsourcing company, taking up, creating jobs for essentially his entire village, which we thought was very nice. You can see throughout this, we'll go through also a very charitable organization as well. We like to give as much back as we can. And that was one of the things that we did. We don't work directly with them any longer, but they're still a very viable company. This is one of the examples I was telling you about, bringing something in-house that we were previously doing outside of the company. User support is a good example of that, because we had a growing number of clients. You'll see that we were the fastest website to reach 1 million users, which just took us 3.5 months to get there, registered users. And we have a list, because we're proud of it, of how long it took other companies. But so we got to the point where we said we need to do user support. Why not do it in-house? Partnered with Aptimus. We ended up bringing them kind of under the umbrella of SoftRock, and still with them today. I should say they're still with us. Now, in 2008, anybody play sports? All right. 2008, we joined Orlando Sport and Social Club for their flag football league. it got to the point that there was such large interest. Now we do it completely in-house with 2 to 3 seasons per year. Obviously uniforms, you can see in that picture. We have a great time with it. Lined fields, referees, people that are interested in the game, but not necessarily interested in being on the field. Well, great. They take stats. They keep track of all that. We're trying to grow it into sort of like almost like a fantasy flag football in the company, which is, it kind of blows my mind that that's possible, but they're keeping stats. My stats are not the greatest, by the way. But I'm not bad, I'm pretty decent. And if anybody ever ends up on the CEO's team and thinks they're going to be the quarterback, you can think again. Unless you're coming directly from the NFL, because he's got that pretty much locked down. And because we're being recorded today, I'll say he does a great job as the quarterback of that team. And I almost sacked him last night. But that's not okay. We're going to move on. I know we have stuff to do. I apologize. Jonathan Gorfine came on in 2008. One of the few examples of an individual coming into the company and essentially being seated into the position that he's working in now. He came in as you can see as the business intelligence and things like that, and he's essentially working as the CFO right now, kind of unofficially as far as the title goes. More often than not, we promote from within. And it's because of, as the company grew, you'll see we'll talk about LeadsCon, which was a conference that happens every year. This year, past it was in Las Vegas. Previous years, thousands and thousands of people go to LeadsCon. It's a huge industry, bigger than I could have even imagined. And because we do everything in-house now, as I said, the complexity of what we do almost requires growth from within. Bringing somebody in from outside, they don't understand all the ins and outs of what we do or why we do it. So it's important to grow from within. And that's definitely something that we work on doing, although Jonathan is a good example of that. And he's, I know it's a running theme as well, but probably one of the nicest guys that you'll get the chance to meet, so hopefully you do. 2008 in September, we had our 100th employee. Again, continuing to grow. We're now at 500 employees plus in the United States. We have an additional 250 spread out in a company in the Dominican Republic and Jamaica. Now, that's the reaction, because I think our CEO schedules partners based on places he wants to vacation. I can't confirm that, but that's what I would do. But you'll see with the technology that we've developed, SR3, SR4 to be specific, it enables reaching out to countries like that, Dominican Republic, where English is not necessarily a first language. Well, how do they communicate? They do it through our technology, and I'll show you more about that as well. Just looking at the charity outreach, as I spoke of earlier, we do like to reach out to the community. If we're doing well in here, but we're ignoring what's happening in the community, then we're not doing well. And that's the way we feel about it. We try to reach out as much as we can, almost up to and including our holiday party last year was a giving gala. So anyone was invited. You went to a website that we had created, and you volunteered to donate a certain number of hours of community service or volunteer hours per month, and that was your ticket. That was your entry. So it was giving that much, a little bit more back to the community that we can, and we also have a little bit of video put together that shows some more of that. That's something there again that we are very proud of, and feel that it's necessary to continue. And we do like to do that as far as interacting with the community. Back to our timeline here, Halloween Day 2010, we moved into the location that you're here in today. We ended up taking over the building next door. Now, if you think about a little bit of a timeline as far as how a client would interact with us, essentially our media department takes ads from our affiliate employers, job ads, shrinks them down and refines them, makes it a little bit more accessible. That drives traffic to our employment specialist department, so that's the second stage. And then if it turns out that someone does have an interest in getting information about continuing their education, you would then be transferred to education advisors, which are also next door. So media, advisors, another position, job specialists, which are a little bit separate. They're next door. We have training and employment specialists and our management team in this building right here. Just to give you an idea of how it's spread out. The advising department, as I was just speaking about, started in 2010. It was another one of those things that we saw we were hiring a company to do that outside of us. Why not bring that in-house? We have the individuals, they're smart enough to do it, they have the ability to do it, we have the capability, let's just do it in-house. Now, working with technology in order to better the search options for the individuals that are utilizing our service, we left no stone unturned. And one of the things that's very interesting as far as us is Expand Inc. was a company that dealt with radar. How does that do with job searches? What had happened is, initially radar, if anyone was ever in the Navy here, you'll have a better understanding of this than I do, but it sends out everywhere and just gets back information. So you're basically getting a blanket description of what is at the bottom of the ocean. Does that sound pretty accurate? So what bear trap sonar did, that Expand Inc. created, is it segmented off sections of the ocean floor in order to have a more accurate search of what you were looking at. So you can get almost like a zoom feature as far as what you were looking at. We found that that was good with searching for jobs. I wish I could explain to you exactly how that sort of correlated, but I know that it does. And it enables us to better search, so when they do get the job of the day in their email, it's more accurate than it would have been had we not acquired this technology. V3 Tech was an interesting thing that we had dealt with. These two gentlemen, Mike and E, had worked for us starting the beginning, or near the beginning. They went off and started V3 Tech, and we wanted the individuals back. So instead of hiring them back and bringing them on and trying to deal with all that, we just acquired the company that they created. It was as easy as that to bring them back on board. If you ever get the opportunity to do something like that, it's much easier, so give it a shot. Now this is what I was speaking of a little bit earlier. 2012, we gave the keynote speech, our CEO Alec did, for LeadsCon. When I went to this conference, I wasn't sure what to expect. But there again, it was hundreds of businesses, thousands of individuals coming up, and most were coming to us because we're a company that does everything in-house. As far as lead generation, as far as job searching, it's all done under these roofs as opposed to pulling in separate companies to deal with the advising, as I spoke of, the media. Everything's happening here. So people were coming to us trying to figure out how we did it, how to better their process, and it was kind of impressive because I had no idea walking in the door what else to expect, and it really blew me away. So it's just how big the company has come, or far the company has come, I should say. There again, we talked about Kelly going for the C-level award. I won't mention her placing anymore because she did get nominated again this year, but we're proud of her. Barrington is a good example of somebody who started as an employment specialist and worked his way up through performance and ideas, and he's now the director of sales, and quietly one of the smartest people in the buildings. Like you get a sense when you talk to him that he's just thinking around about 100 different things while you're just trying to get to the next sentence. And he's great to talk to if you ever get the opportunity. SR3, we spoke about that briefly. Essentially, it is pre-recorded responses that are initiated by an employment specialist or a digital communications agent, as we call them. This does a lot of things. First off, it eliminates quality assurance issues because you know exactly what the person is going to say. If you need to change what's being presented, it's as simple as a keystroke. As opposed to maybe right now, you think about it as individuals coming in, employment specialists, and you say, hey, we need to change this, what we're saying at this portion. So what happens then? They pretty much go out to the parking lot, talk about it amongst themselves, decide whether they want to do it or not, and then they come back in and they go through that process. With SR3 technology, there again, it's as simple as a keystroke. This is the technology that we're utilizing in the Dominican Republic. So individuals with accents, speech impediments, things like that, no longer an issue because it's a complete service that they're utilizing. They're talking with the software, essentially. I don't know if you noticed on the video there were some individuals with two screens in front of them. So they're having two completely separate conversations without any loss of customer service or quality, anything like that. It's really not something that's noticeable, although we do have transparency, which I'll show you about in just a bit here, I'm sorry. excuse me. 2012 we launched Giggits.com. That's our mainstay job search site. Essentially it grew, like I said, to 1 million in 3.5 months, faster than any other website out there. I'm just going to give you a little run through as far as the registration process. So that when individuals, the options are they can either come directly to Giggits.com, sign in if they've already registered, or they'll come from one of our affiliate sites. And I'm going to use some sheets that we have so you guys don't have to watch me type really slowly. So this is what someone would see if they get there, they're searching for a job and it comes up. They click on this to register, to apply for the job, and it'll come up. You can see this is through Pizza Hut. So they enter all of their information. What's going to happen is they'll get to the point where, are you enrolled in college? What this does is, because it is a revenue generating job, that's what we're looking for, as well as helping people find jobs. If they are enrolled, if there's no reason necessarily, no ability for them to speak with an education advisor or even a jobs employment specialist for that process, they'll still be able to get the jobs of the day. We don't want to limit anybody from that. They'll just go through the registration process as opposed to calling in. Now, if someone isn't enrolled, they have a little bit wider eligibility as far as what we can offer them with our services. They will be prompted to call in. And this is what does separate us from other services, is that more often than not, it's the communication with our employment specialist that gets people down the road to a better position or even a more accurate job that they're looking for. Now, if they don't have time to call right now, don't worry about it. We'll schedule a call. It's any day that we're open, which is Monday through Saturday, and within the hours that we are open. So we'll schedule that call. They'll get a text 15 to 20 minutes before they have to call in. Just a little reminder, hey, don't forget to call. We don't do any outbound calls here. If somebody hangs up or the call gets disconnected, something like that, you can try them back, but we don't go any further than that because it's really no point. We don't want to press it, right? So it's all inbound. Now, as soon as you're done with the call, you get to the registration process. The first thing we have you do is rate. How did we do? And I say you, obviously I'm talking about the clients. Now, when you do rate them, that's compiled. It's not hidden away in a file. It's actually put up on an alternate website that we have, GiggitSpecialist.com. Everyone that works for us has their own Giggit Specialist page, all the ratings that they have. We have the rankings for today, and we have the rankings for all time. And you can see that David, what happens is the people with the pictures that put their pictures up go up at the top here, and the people without pictures all the way down. Good, bad, or indifferent, it goes on the site. We don't filter this at all. Now, we do have SR3 technology, like I was saying. So if someone is not speaking directly with an individual, how is it that we're notifying that who you spoke with and how you communicated with them? Well, Dennis is a good example. But it says right here, I'm a Will. And if you've ever experienced SR3 technology, Will is the voice that is SR3 technology, and Will is a real person. He works here. And if you get the chance to use SR3 and then go have a conversation with Will, it's a little freaky. But also a super nice guy. But at any rate, we click I'm a Will. Total transparency, it just gives you a full description of what we do and why we do it. And just as we were speaking about earlier, dramatically improves performance, reduces training time, 100% compliance. If you think about the fact that we have 21,000 employer partners and 4,000 university and college partners, and everyone has basically a different idea as far as what they want quality assurance. We take what overlaps, we program it into Will, and then quality assurance becomes near 100%. Compliance with the requirements of our vendors, like I was saying, increased diversity in hiring. Go ahead.
Okay, but that's the technology that they're using. Now, is that teaching or showing people or training them how to speak more?
It's a full conversation. So the psychology of it is in the presentation as far as what responses. The fact remains that if you ask the same question 99% of the time, around 99% of the United States, you're going to get the same response, or at least a similar response. So we've programmed in, I want to say, thousands of responses with the potential of having a full conversation with someone. So the digital communications agent is listening and then activating responses. And so they're having a full conversation, the quality assurance is there. If the individual happens to be a non-English speaker initially or has a speech impediment, it's not an issue. It completely eliminates all of that as a problem.
So they think they're actually speaking to a real live person?
More often than not, there's no break in the conversation whatsoever, so it just goes through. But at the point that they do rate them, we tell everybody, this is what this page is for. Now, Will's voice, because a lot of people ask, like, why Will, why not another voice? And we found through research that a male voice is the best. Does anybody know what the worst voice is? The worst, I mean, like the least productive voice is a Southern female. Because the girls want to chat with her and the guys want to flirt with her. So it stops the whole process. But we have found that Will and his voice, they do the best job as far as that goes. So moving back into the registration process after you've rated somebody, whomever it is you spoke with, you'll go into the job matching preferences. Now, this is going to be similar for someone that came through the process via communication with us or is just going through the process on their own. The only difference is if you did communicate with someone and you went through the presentation to get kind of narrow down what jobs you are searching for and why you're searching for them, etc., this was already pre-filled. So if you had contacted us and decided that you wanted to be an administrative assistant, it would already be there. If you wanted to be an administrative clerk and you did communicate that to the employment specialist you spoke with, or even, say, a forklift driver, it would already be there. So you get to this page, the client would say, you know what, I know that I told the employment specialist that I wanted to be an administrative assistant, but I really want to be a forklift driver. That's what I'm kind of looking to do right now. So via technology that we offer, you click here, it's now your priority. And it's simple as that to change it. There again, kind of easing the process, doing the best we can. Now, I need to maybe move to Dayton, Ohio. And that needs to be my priority. It's changed. And you'll see as we get to the end of the process, there'll be a spot where all the jobs are listed, and it'll have these, what we set up here or what was pre-set up here, listed on that page as well, and I'll show you that in just a minute. This is kind of just like getting some feedback. How do you want to receive the job today? How does the client, what do they utilize? Do they have Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc.? Just a couple of more questions. Eligible to work in the United States, that's obvious why you want to find that out. Are you willing to relocate? It's more of kind of just a questionnaire, what type of phone that you have, so we know kind of if we're targeting the right phone service, maybe you need to branch it out a little bit. Like I said, we're fluid as far as what we're doing, constantly changing, trying to better the process. Now, we're about, what would you say, 4 to 6 steps into the registration process, and what haven't you seen? That's part of it, but it's more, say, advertisements. You haven't seen any advertisements. There's not banners flashing all over the place, things crawling across the screen, pop-ups, everything like that. That's not what this is about. It's to help our clients either find a position or better what they're doing. Immediate job needs, future career goals, and this is how we figure to do it, is by eliminating that. We do have an ads page, and it's the next page. You'll see it's very subdued. It's just, would you like more information about what's going on here? We do have a couple of partners that we utilize on this page, and for all of these, they approached us. We said, we're going to put it somewhere, put it right here. If they do want more information about any of these, they have to not only opt in here, but then they have to opt in here. This has a lot to do with some of the recent laws that came up in 2011, but I can tell you that when laws changed, we didn't have to change anything. We were already ahead of the game as far as compliance goes. It's not something that's our priority to get ads and things like that in, so we were lucky for that. You said resume earlier, correct? Here it is. This is starting to build your page, the client's page, as far as what we're doing is targeting from the one side to have clients coming in, setting up the resume page, and then targeting from the other side to have employers have a better way to search for individuals. Because right now I think it's just pretty much posting it on job boards and then waiting for resumes to come in and then sifting through those resumes. If the employers had the ability to search specific experience, specific education, specific previous titles, and have something vet the resumes that they're receiving, that would better the process for them, and it might accelerate everything as far as getting jobs and filling jobs. So that's what we're doing for that.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
As far as doing that, does the software go out and all the resumes that have been uploaded, does it look for specific words on the resume versus what the employer is looking for?
Well, that actually ties in with this here, because the software that we use, that we developed, it'll parse out, it'll pull out all the words. Now, primarily, it was utilized so that someone didn't have to update their resume on their personal computer and then re-upload it to the page. They could just come to our page, log in, and update it that way. But we found that it does that, where coming in from the other side, if the employer is looking for something specific and they search it very specifically, it'll actually pull it from that search. So instead of looking through 1,000 resumes, the potential employer is now looking through maybe 5. So it actually accelerates that process, and we do, that was part of what we were looking to do.
So, excuse me, so what happens to those people who just may have missed out on certain words?
Well, it has to do with a lot, okay? So that it's not just words, it's experience. It has to do with number of years. There's a lot of criteria that are utilized. One of them is the words that we pull out, and if we found that was sort of a byproduct of parsing out that information, positive byproduct, but it just depends on a lot to do with the resume, as well as what the individual put in for the registration. So moving through experience, another thing that we're working on, you can see just general experience, okay, this is the same, and then it's confidential survey. We'd like you to rate your bosses. So if anyone is maybe recently out of school and you've used Rate My Professor, does anyone use that? It's very useful, right? We found it so useful. I know that I used it when I was in school. Why not do it for bosses? It's not necessarily a make or break if your boss is, 4 stars instead of 5 stars, but it does help walking in the door to know certain things that your boss may have ideas on what to do. Rate My Boss is what we came up with, and that's something that we're getting ready to launch as well. So we asked the question there. Moving forward into building the resume, as far as what will eventually be presented to potential employers, give you the opportunity to upload a picture. And you can see, based on the Wall Street Journal, 7 times more likely to be viewed online if they have a picture.
But
Yes?
doesn't that come into the ethics of hiring, though? A person from discrimination, put their pictures on their resume. We're
Right.
in HR, when I get a person's resume with a picture on here, I put it to the side. Because if I don't hire them, or if you saw my picture, you didn't want to hire me.
Oh, I see. So you're trying to, you're filtering through that. As far as that goes, it's really not up to us to stop the process. We know that they do get viewed 7 times more. They're more likely to be viewed based on having a picture. So we're going to follow with that percentage. Now, whether they get hired because of the way they look or not, it's really hard to say. I know that you're sort of protecting yourself by putting it aside, but having an online resume is not something, because there are things like LinkedIn. It's already pretty much out there. That's where we're getting the pictures from anyway, because the update to this search that we have, similar to Rate My Boss, is that it'll Google search, the software that we have will Google search your name, a little bit of your experience, pull a picture over, and just so you can skip the step of uploading, it'll say, is this you? And if it's the picture of you, you can say, absolutely, that's the picture I want to use. If it's not, you can just select no. Yes?
Just being a child upload pictures, I'm just curious, a lot of people put selfies up there. Do you have a tool you can crop the picture so you can see
absolutely.
background?
When you do upload it, you can crop it as much as you want, just like a normal cropping, clicking the corner and dragging it to the size that you want, and then totally set it the way you want. So now we're at the page that I spoke about earlier, that as the individual coming through, so this is not the job of the day, this is the client's personal search. As they're coming through, they've finished the registration process, and they get to a page where they can pretty much go through and apply for what they want to apply for. And you can see that all the criteria we arranged earlier, forklift driver being the priority, et cetera, Dayton, Ohio being the main location, it's all set. So that whole the short registration process gets to a point of basically showing exactly what they were looking for, which is, that was the goal, right? So as we said, Giggets grew the fastest, 1 million users in 3.5 months, and you can see some of the other big names on there. Not as fast. That's fine. We got there first is the only thing we can say. Now moving on, this SHRM was last year, and I believe it was in Chicago, but this year's SHRM was actually in beautiful Orlando, Florida. So we had a big push for that as far as Rate My Boss and showing the Society for Human Resource Management, which is SHRM. Not only could we do from the client side as far as looking for jobs, but we also work from the employer side, which we spoke about earlier. So it really helped out. We were actually a big hit at SHRM. We put on a big event here with a Rock of Ages concert. That was a lot of fun. We had a couple of tribute bands that came through, and everybody had a great time for that. Open to all employees also. Now continuing with the little competitive nature that we do have, we also play volleyball. We have softball leagues. We do a co-ed tennis tournament every year that, while I didn't win the tennis tournament this past year, I did win the costume portion of the tennis tournament myself. And my partner Alexa were Richard Simmons and Olivia Newton-John. And you guys, I'll just stop there. There's no further description that's needed. You can just work it out on your own. That's fine. Continuing expansion, we then in 2013 pretty much encompassed both buildings. So we have there again this building, the building next door. Oftentimes the parking garage underneath the building next door becomes where we do the Friday cookouts. We don't have room in the buildings here, and it's just a lot of fun. Like it's just free lunch on Fridays, themed events, things like that. 2014 we hit 6 million users. I don't know if you saw the ticker on the Giggets site, the homepage, but it's over 6.2 million users now, and that's new registered users coming in, using the site for the first time, and we're absolutely proud of that. So we utilize different things, right? Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, iPhone, Android, etc., to get people to ease their job search. We have video profile, job scout, advanced analytics. I'll just stop there. Advanced analytics is something that I probably would be able to explain better. This is an example of the job of the day page. You can see 98% match. That's a 98% match based on the conversation that the individual had with the client. So employment specialist, having conversations, getting down to information that is going to be helpful to get that up to as close to 100% match as we can. And it's all easily changeable based on the registration process that I showed you. Yes?
I don't know if you went over this now, is the job of the day, is that system generated or is that done for the specialists where they find that job?
The employment specialist will gather the information based on what they're looking for, and then the actual jobs are system generated based on the information that's there. So just to recap on what we do and how we do it, communication sets us apart. Having individuals call in, contact us, and then actually having a conversation. If you've ever heard of, in the medical field, it's the nurse's touch that helps the patients. Well, in the job search and employment field, it's just having a conversation. If more often than not somebody's been searching for a job and going over, we could say maybe hundreds of different websites, simply searching for jobs, punching in information, and then moving forward, and then they get a person on the phone having a conversation with an employment specialist who just wants to help. An honest to goodness conversation, hearing an honest to goodness thank you at the end of the conversation. It's very important to us. Qualified users is the next thing. Having that conversation, getting the information from the clients that we utilize in order to find them better jobs, more suitable jobs, things that they're going to apply for, hopefully get hired for. If they want to go further than that job, education, possibly both. We can also help with that. We do offer those services as well. And pride in service is something that we talked about. I started as a career specialist, and that's the one thing I do miss, is I've worked as a firefighter, I've worked as a 911 dispatcher, things like that. Having moved on from those jobs and come here, you're getting on the phone with individuals, maybe they've been out of work for a couple months, maybe they're looking for something, they're stressed. You're able to help them with that process, ease the burden a little bit, get an honest to goodness thank you at the end of the conversation, and that does mean a lot. And then compensation. It's a job, make some money. The compensation right now is set at $600 base pay for a 42.5-hour week, and that's versus commission. On commission, you have the possibility of earning anywhere from $800 to $1,600 per week. As far as the details of compensation, if we decide to move forward with you, you decide to move forward with us, that'll be detailed further at a later date. But as of right now, $600 for a 42.5-hour work week versus commission. Commission has the potential of anywhere from $800 to $1,600 a week. We have one more video. It's a little bit, we set it up for the job fair at UCF recently, so it's a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but you'll see. Well, before we do that, we'll talk about advancement here in-house. AJ Alexandra, this was my tennis partner. She was Olivia Newton-John. It was awesome. Awesome enough to win. And Brittany, those three started as advisors and specialists, and they now run the advising department. As far as Barrington, we spoke of him. Bonnie started in media, writing jobs as a copywriter, and she's now in business intelligence. Brianne actually helped create most of Giggets, the website as it stands now, and she's now running business intelligence as well. Kelly we spoke about. Lacey started as a specialist, and she's now a senior sales manager for the career specialist and employment specialist over there, and they'll do a great job. So here's that video I was speaking about 1 minute ago.
So can you explain to me how soft rock can be?
So you can see we had a little bit of fun with that video, but at the same time, it is what it is, right? So you can see here what we're going to do today. That pretty much rounds out what my presentation is. We'll do exit interviews with each individual. We're going to have the hiring managers just come in just a minute, and we'll take care of that. What they'll do is they'll make a determination. You decide to move forward with us. We decide to move forward with you. Test drive Soft Rock gives you an opportunity to try the job out. Get to know, like, as of right now, it's just kind of a notion. You're actually sitting down and doing the job. Fantastic. They're, again, continuing to move forward potentially. Study party is a voluntary thing. That's kind of just to help out the individuals moving up to orientation and potential boot camp. Boot camp is paid. That's our training, and it's $1,000 base pay for the 10 days. Anybody have any questions? All right. Everybody relax. The hiring manager will be coming in a couple of minutes. If you'd like to get some more coffee or a snack or use the restroom, I can direct you to the restroom because it's kind of a maze.
Yeah, I got lost.
But yeah, it should be just a couple minutes.